Hey Wealth Builders! Welcome back to another episode of The Bemused. My name is Mishak.
And I'm Akiva.
And on this channel, we talk about all things personal finance for young adults just like you and us.
So if you're into that kind of stuff, go on ahead and hit that big red subscribe button. And while you're at it, click that little notification bell. Make sure it says the word all next to it so you get every single notification every time we post a new valuable video just like this one.
And in this video, we're going to be talking about the infamous LLC.
And why you do not need one.
So you might be a new entrepreneur, and just like us, you might be scrolling through your social media platforms and you're coming across a whole bunch of memes, images, videos, whatever it might be about LLCs. And you're thinking, well, I gotta get that, I need it. But we're here to tell you that you probably don't. And from our experience, these posts don't explain what an LLC is, how to obtain one, what it's for. It's just a whole bunch of propaganda, really, trying to hype it up, which is great. It's great to bring attention to things and educate individuals on things that they might not know about. But we think that it's a little bit deceptive and can be a little misleading.
It's very glamorized.
Yeah. When we are just get an LLC. I've literally seen posts on Instagram where love, laughter, and something with the C, and it's get you an LLC, and it's
literally
everything is about LLC.
Everybody
these
and
days.
their mama.
And although this tactic might be helpful or beneficial to some groups of people, it really might not be the best thing for a new entrepreneur like yourself coming up, or like us. So first things first, what is an LLC? So LLC stands for Limited Liability Company, or some people also say corporation, but same thing. And an LLC is simply a business structure allowed by state statute. So for example, you could form a Massachusetts LLC, or a Delaware LLC, or a California LLC. It really doesn't matter. So just like a corporation, a sole proprietorship, or a partnership, an LLC is just a wrapper on the way that you choose to do business. Owners of an LLC are called members, and most states do not have restrictions on who those members may be. So they can be a person, a corporation, or any type of entity. There's also no maximum amount of members, and most states permit one-member LLCs as well. And this is also known as single-membered LLCs. LLCs can be taxed in a number of ways. Depending on the elections made by the LLC and the members within the LLC, the IRS will treat the LLC as a corporation, a partnership, or part of the LLC's owner's tax return. And this is also referred to as a disregarded entity. An LLC with at least two members is considered a partnership when it comes to federal tax filing purposes, unless Form 8832 is filed where the LLC is considered a corporation. For tax purposes, an LLC with only one member is treated as a disregarded entity, meaning it is viewed no differently than the owner itself. For individuals in this category, their income and expenses must be reported on their individual tax returns. And again, a single-member LLC can choose to file Form 8832 to be taxed and treated as a corporation.
So now, why do people even set up LLCs in the first place? The single biggest reason and advantage to setting up an LLC is the limited personal liability provisions. If your business is considered a sole proprietorship or a partnership, you and your business are legally and technically the same person. You're viewed as one and the same. So that means that any debts of the business are your debts. Any income is your income. If someone sues your business, they can go after all of your personal assets. If you have a business partner that does something real negligent, you're on the hook for their negligence. As it suggests in the name, a limited liability company protects you from some of these risks. LLCs are responsible for their own debts and their own obligations. So that means if someone sues your business, they can only go after the assets of the business, of the LLC. Most of your personal assets are protected from that seizure. And again, if you have a business partner, if they do something negligent, again, your personal assets are not on the hook. They can only go after the assets of the LLC or of the business. If you have business debt, they can't go after your personal assets to pay for the business's debts.
So these are the steps on how to set up an LLC. So first, you want to choose a business name that is not duplicating an LLC that already exists in your state.
Next, you want to create and file what's called the Articles of Organization. These are the basic documents that establish your LLC. This form can be quite simple. In fact, most states have a template or something that you can use and just kind of fill in the blanks. It'll ask for some basic information like the name of the business, your name, address, etc. In some cases, each owner of the LLC will be required to sign this document, or in some states, you can have one person being the designated member to sign.
Next, you want to appoint a registered agent. So you yourself do not have to live in the state that you are trying to establish your LLC. However, most states require that at least one person act as the registered agent for the LLC. The registered agent is the person that represents the LLC as well as receives any paperwork relating to a lawsuit. And there are companies out there that provide registered agent services in case you don't live in the state or are running your business from a different location. And this is very helpful in case you don't want the entire world to know your address.
Next, you're going to pay any required fees. So the amount of fees that's required to set up your LLC will be different depending on which state you're forming it in, but usually it'll be anywhere from $100 to several $100s. I know in Massachusetts, for example, it's a $500 fee that you will need to continue to pay even annually after you set up your LLC.
So next, publishing a notice of intent to create an LLC. So this is only a requirement in some states, and your state may require that you publish some sort of notice to the public that you are intending to create an LLC. And your newspaper staff should be able to help you create that notice. You may be required to publish that notice over several weeks or possibly even several months, after which you might be required to file an affidavit of publication with your state. And if you need to file your LLC quickly, this type of publication might create some sort of delay for you. Be sure to check with your state to ensure if this is something that you are required to do and plan appropriately. And we recommend that you give yourself plenty of time to meet all of the requirements that your state may or may not have. If you want to launch your LLC quickly, keep this in mind as it could delay the process.
The next step is to create your LLC operating agreement. And this is really important if you are setting up your LLC with more than one member. This is probably the most complicated part of setting up an LLC, but definitely a very critical part. The good news is that you don't necessarily need to file this document with the state. However, it's a good practice to have one and establish one to avoid conflict later down the road with your business partners. This document also does not necessarily need to be drafted by an attorney, although in some cases that might also be a good route to go, so that you know it's professionally drafted and you've covered all the loopholes and all of those kinds of things and everything's accounted for. Now, the purpose of the operating agreement is really just to spell out all of the members' responsibilities and rights with regard to the LLC. It's very similar to like corporate bylaws or things like that, partnership agreements. And one of its main purposes is, like we said, to help avoid conflict, to understand what is the way that we should go and what is the way that we should treat certain situations with regard to other members. If someone wants to if someone wants to exit the LLC, what are the protocols there? What are people's voting power with regard to the LLC? What is everybody's percentage interest of ownership in the LLC? This is a document that spells all that stuff out. A very detailed operating agreement might even go as far as to spell out the management responsibilities for each member of the LLC.
So finally, here's why we believe you do not need an LLC. They are expensive to maintain. If you were paying attention, you have some states that even after creating the darn thing, you still have to make payments on an annual basis.
Most of the time, asterisk.
And it is even expensive if you choose to DIY it and don't hire an attorney and a registered agent and all those different things. It can still be very costly. And this is especially true if you are a new business owner. You might not necessarily need or want to spend this amount of cash at this stage in your business.
The other reason why you probably don't need an LLC is because of all the administrative requirements. In addition to paying those annual filing fees, there's also, a report that goes along with that. And it's just a little bit more of an administrative hassle that you have to go through with an LLC. So in sum, if you are a new solopreneur or entrepreneur, you're just getting started with business, forming an LLC may not be worth it due to the cost and the hassle of it all. It might just be better for you to just stick as a sole proprietorship, especially if you are in a pretty low risk industry and your chances of a lawsuit are relatively low.
So thanks so much for watching. Tell us down below what you think about our opinion on needing an LLC or not. We'd love to hear that down in the comments. Thanks again so much for watching. Don't forget to hit that subscribe button and the notification bell so you never miss when we post new content. We'll see you in the next one. Bye.